Um, so we're here today. You guys are interested in learning about creating crime scene diagrams and in our software. And we have a product called the Crime Zone, and it's very much geared for creating crime scene diagrams as well as crash scene diagrams, but we're going to focus on crime scene. And it will work with any type of data you can get your hands on. If you collect data by hand, you can work with that data by total station. If you want to work with satellite images, if you want to work with the point cloud data from a laser scanner, you can do that as well. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I just brought in a scanned image of hand measurements. Okay, and so a little field sketch here. This is a little sheet we include in the program. It's designed to be snapped into a 3-ring binder. If you want, you can print them out, and something we've developed with local departments over the years and modified. And this is just an example of a living room here where we have a body, a wall, some bullet holes, and these are the dimensions that were taken. So I'm showing you this hand written one so you can see how we'll take that data and we'll open up this coordinate data table tool we have, and in the coordinate data table we can work with baseline, triangulation, we can import formatted data from like raw total station data, and we can even bring in GPS data. For instance, data from a vehicle that's been in a crash, that last 5 seconds, we can bring that in and map out exactly where what happened in that last 5 seconds on, and overlay that over satellite imagery. Okay, so I'll open up some baseline data, and okay, so here's the data from that sheet. Bullet holes, 4 bullet holes, rug, foot, the location of your foot, elbow, hip, knee, the exterior wall data. That was all just hand entered into here. And this is the baseline down below. We can zoom up. We can reduce the size of the text. All this data we're going to form in this tool here, and then we can bring it into the diagram when we're ready for it. And so some interesting things about this tool. You can see the rug is actually already connected by a line. That's because any tool, or excuse me, any like description is connected by a line. And we could add, actually change that if I right-click here, and I could say, well, I'd really like it to be a curve. And now these 4 points were all connected by a curve. And I can clear that description and go back to just having it be a line. And then I can close off that corner with the close tool. So plenty of little tools just to kind of get yourself started. And then once you're happy with this data and you save it so you can always come back and open it up again, we can place it in the diagram. I'll get rid of the baseline here. And now we have all that data. We have a rug, the wall, the body outline in here. So with this data in here, you'll notice that we have all these descriptions and point numbers. And if I just double click on one of these, it brings up the point labels tool. And I can change the size of the text so it looks, it's easy to follow here, see without it getting in the way of stuff. I can turn off the point numbers. I can turn off elevation. You can see all this. You can hide all the data that you want, and I'll put all that back on. You can even change the size of the points or the type of the points. And then turn that off. So that gives you a nice little bit of control, and you'll notice no matter how far in or out you zoom, it remains, the text stays that height that you would set it to. Okay, so just start a continuous line and go from left foot to left knee to the left hip to the right hip. And this just automatically snaps to these points. And I can go from head to neck, and I'll just go down here. Hand, like this, right hand. See, so now we have that body outline, and this is going to help us place the posed body. Now let me just see if I happen to have this baseline final here. Okay. Can everybody see this okay?
Oh, yeah.
Good. So I'm moving along, and of course, if you guys need to stop and ask some questions, feel free to do it. But you can see I've got that outline, but I also have the body here. Well, that tool is right here. This is the body poser tool. So if I select this body and I open up the 3D body poser, this tool comes up, and it's kind of like a program within a program. There's the body, top-down view. Here, I'll move it out of the way a little bit. So you can see that, we could align this. You can see the downward arm here. I might want to just move that in a little bit like this, maybe move it out. And I can just hit update, and you should see it change in there. See how that changed in there? And we can change the type of, whether he has shoes on or not. I can take his shoes off. We could put him in a long sleeve shirt, and we can change him from a slight build, medium, to a large, heavy build, or even to a skeleton. Change it to a skeleton. And here's your height, male, female, or an infant. And we can even rotate the head. Looks a little weird there with the skeleton head. See what happens here. And then update that. There we go. Close it. Oop, got a little bit weird. And then if we look at this in our 3D viewer, you can see all that information. And I can turn on a ground plane here. So there you go. We have these bullet hole trajectory points. This is an interior wall, and this is the exterior wall. And you can see even though we did hand measurements, we entered in elevations 2.67 feet, 2.38, because we were able to measure inside and outside the wall. So we could actually snap a point here and a point here and a point here and a point there. And if we were to take let me click up, let's take a quick look in 3D here. See, we haven't even built the walls yet. We have these trajectory lines here. Okay, so we can extend the trajectory lines to anything we have out here. Like we just want to go out, maybe out here, and we have the trim extend tool right here. Click on trim extend. Go like that. Take a quick look in 3D. So now we don't lose the slope angle of these trajectory lines, and they look pretty steep, and there's a reason for that, because it was from up in a stairwell. So once I've extended these lines out, I can change their line type to look like anything I want. We have hundreds of line types, street lines, roadway lines. We can do cones, barrels. We could just do patterns. We could do blood footsteps if you wanted to. Whatever you want to use, and we have these trajectory lines like this. It kind of just thicken it up a little bit. So if you go into 3D, they're just a little bit thicker, and they stand out a little more. And I don't know if you guys ever work with trajectory cones. We have that ability. If you're trying to figure out kind of the range of where the gun was, or you can use the 5-degree trajectory cone. We have this tool right here. You just select that, and you can set the tolerance to any number of degrees you want, but it defaults to 5. Select and apply a cone to that, and then select another one. Maybe we'll change the color to green and apply a cone to that. And if we were going to 3D, now we can see the overlap, the envelope of, and the possibility of where these bullets came from in the cone. And you can actually select them again and hide the fills. That way you can kind of see through it. Okay. So with that being said, we have we can of course dimension and edit, or excuse me, dimension our work. You know, you've obviously did everything to we do everything to real world scale, meaning that it doesn't matter. You can decide how you want to dimension it, feet, meters, or whatever, and you know, I can go snap to this point, to that point, change the height to 0.5 feet, put a dimension in here, tell it to do a single click dimension, just touch a line like that. We can dimension from a corner to a corner, really doesn't matter. So we have a lot of control here with the dimensioning tool, and it's very easy to populate that. And of course text, you know, we can type in any kind of text in here, room, and you know, you can double click on that or select it, and then you can change it to, you know, something else, room, you know, living, add that to it, apply, maybe change its color, you know, just kind of the normal stuff, change its height, center it. You can even bring in a paragraph of text. You can load in ASCII text from a report and bring it in, or you could type in a paragraph and edit it and place it in there. You can add labels. If there's things you're commonly labeling, like, see, we've got evidence here. I just picked that. Say, okay, I've got an evidence here and here. And you can say, well, I like to just always go EV evidence, you know, 01, and I'm going to use this a lot, so I'm going to add that as a label. And I'm going to add in 02 as a label. So now anytime I go into this tool, I can just click here and bring in, without having to type it in, just a little tool there. Okay. So symbols, of course, we have thousands of symbols. And in the crime scene symbols, we can go to the home and seating and maybe grab a couch in here. Let's find a nice little couch with armrests. Let's see what that looks like three-dimensionally. Change its color like that. And we'll place the couch in right here. See, and we can rotate and scale it. We can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. We can put it in place. We can adjust its width and height based on some measurements you've taken. Now, another important thing is that we might want to set the height of this couch. You know, maybe, you know, the couch was at an angle like this and it was over here, and we just wanted to know if it was possibly getting in the way of, you know, if the person might have been sitting before they got shot or something. So if we select the couch and go to our 3D Builder tool, we can see that the couch is 2.37 feet high. I can make the couch 3 feet high and apply that. And if you just look at that in 3D, so there's your couch. But how do you know it's really 3 feet high? Well, the program told you it was, but we certainly could go into symbols, just go to the North Plus scale elevation posts, and let's grab a 6-foot post right here, and we'll put one right there, and then we'll go back into 3D. So the post is gradient by this post set up by feet 1 and divided into tenths of a foot. So if I do just a perfect side view like that, and then we just kind of turn around it, you can see 1, 2, 3 feet exactly. So you can verify anything you've done, you know, or you might want to just use it to you know, see where, you know, you can stack these posts on each other or add more to it. So you do all your work in 2D, but it's all symbols, your bodies and everything are going to show up three-dimensionally. Your walls, you could select this wall here and say, well, that's a 12-foot high wall, and I'm gonna give it a wall paint kind of this kind of beige color, let's say 135, and apply it. So now we have a wall in here. So we use 3D Builder for everything. Set height of stuff, set symbol height, line type height, whatever you want to do, we can certainly do that. Let's look at a couple other things. Wall evidence, for instance. We could have, let's say we have posters or something on this wall. So we have in our 3D tools, we have our wall evidence tool right here. And you just touch a wall, say which side you're standing or which way you're facing the wall on that side. And it wants to get rid of that one here. And what we get is the wall pops up right in here. So I can go in and put more baseline measurements along this wall vertically. You know, in other words, I'm actually looking at the vertical aspect of the wall. I can start, this is our Easy Lines tool, and I can say, well, I want to go over 4 feet, put a marker, and then I would like to go up 5 feet, and I'll put another marker, and then I'm going to go up, 3 feet, put a marker, and go to the right 2 feet and put a marker. Okay, and then I will close that off. And I can then go to my image import tool, my bitmap tool, and I'll bring in this Arnold Schwarzenegger poster here. And then I'll just do it again. I'll just eyeball the next one here, Batman. Okay, and then I'll finish that. And now we have wall evidence. So we got movie posters and anything you wanted. And there's a lot of tricks you can do with this. In some cases, I would even take a snapshot with a camera of a window or something that I don't want. I just want to see what the blinds and everything look like to add to what the room looked like. Or, you could take photos and apply it to all that. So you can use this wall evidence tool for a whole bunch of things. The other thing we can do is we could do a little walkthrough. I'll take that path out maybe and say, well, we just kind of want to walk through like that. So we got, and this just could be any line. It doesn't really matter. I just made it an arrow line. And I'll just go to here's our animation tools. Start an animation here, let's say 2 miles an hour. And let's just grab a body from body poser, or one that's walking, not a skeleton. Let's go medium here. 0, short. There we go. Put some shoes on her. And just pop that in here. Okay, so now that we have a path and a symbol and a start point on our animation, we can just take a look at.
The cap is a key event point.
Oh yes, that's right. I'm saying KEP, and what Anna's telling you, yes, it's a key event point. So here's the body that's walking. Now we can just do a little quick demo or just see what that's going to look like. It's obviously going to be a lot smoother. This is the computer just trying to keep up with it. But what you would want to do for your walkthrough is click on this tool. You want to be the driver. Change the elevation. And maybe move along the path. Let's get onto her right shoulder here. There, and now run the animation. There you go. So you can really very quickly do a walkthrough animation of your scene. Okay, so we can take all this data and we can work, like I said, we can import, merge different types of data at any time. I could group this whole thing here, so when I just click on it, it's just this one object here like that. And we could go back to our satellite, our Bing and Google image tool. Okay, and let's put in, let's see, here's the address of the house where that happened. Let's zoom in a little bit. And you can see we have labels on here, Citrine Loop. It's this house right here, and this is the area of it. And this might not make sense for you to do this, but it's just something you can do. So bring in this image, and I'm going to click on it, double click on it, and I can go in here and I can fade the image a little bit so my work stands out on it somewhat. And I can lock it so I can trace over it, apply it, and then I can just take this data here, zoom up, and this outer wall is, this wall here is this wall right here. So we have an align tool to just make this easier. You can say, well, I want to go from, this is the corner of the wall to that area, and here's the corner of the wall to that. There we go. So this is the carpet, the room, the wall, and everything where that took place. And that's actually true for that example. So any questions so far?
Any questions?
I know you said the point cloud is more like an add-on. Is the 3D and animation standard on the?
Yes. Everything I'm showing you is standard with the program. There's no modules, there's no add-ons, only except for this point cloud tool. That's the only thing. Are you guys all working with total station data as well?
Some of us are, some of us aren't.
Okay. So let me bring in some total station imagery. Let's see. The people that are using total station, are you using Pocket Zone or any of our products for creating the diagram from the total station, or are you just collecting raw data?
Collecting raw data and inserting it into a drawing program.
And then doing what?
And it's going into the drawing program we're currently using, which is not Crime Zone or Crash.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you have a tool in that diagram program similar to like this coordinate data table where you can bring in point number, northing, easting, elevation, description, that sort of thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you could do that in here, and that would pull in here just like when we did the baseline work. And I'll just show you, we have our Pocket Zone program, and I'll just bring in data from that. But with Pocket Zone, what happens is it just works on a little handheld ruggedized, small little handheld ruggedized Pocket PC, and you actually see all the data that you're working with. Like you see the diagram being made while you're doing it, so you have a visual of it. Instead of having to keep track of points. But either way, however you're doing it, you could take your raw data, bring it in, and it would still come in like this. So this is a part of a parking lot, an edge of a church. And have you ever had to go out and shoot twice? You forgot something and then had to try to merge the data together?
Yes. Okay.
So we can do that same thing. We can bring in hold on a second, I'll go find my Pocket Zone data here. Okay, I'll pop that over to the side. Okay, so these were both shot in the same area, and you can see there is a, let's see, what we need are common points. So we've got a fire hydrant here, and we have a no parking sign here, and we got to come over here and look and see that, oh, there's the fire hydrant and there's the no parking sign. Okay, so I can select this section here and just group it so I could keep it like a symbol almost. And that same align tool I was using earlier over here, the align common points, and say, okay, I'll click on the no parking sign and click on the fire hydrant, and then just come over here and click on the no parking sign and click on the fire hydrant. And now you see the line of trees are in here, and all that data is now lined up and everything. And let's try it again and see what we got. Now let me turn off the ground plane. Okay, so you can see we have a parking lot. Here's kind of a vehicle that matches in here. There's the parking lot stripes, and there's a little corner of the road across the intersection. So remember when I did that align of the total station data, I can do the same thing. I can bring in another image that was taken by. Here's that church here. Here's the parking lot. Come out just a hair, a little bit. And there's the street. I'm going to turn off the labels like that. So that's the one corner. And let's see what it looks like, the Bing map. Sometimes the Bing map looks a little better. Nope, in this case the Google map looks a little better. And we can stitch these together. We can actually auto-place them, which means they're geo-referenced. And we could zoom in and keep adding pieces to it if we wanted to. It's a neat little feature. But we can also come in here and once again do that same align here, and select this and group it and grab the align tool, which is AG, and I need to find that there are 2 poles. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, if I'm going to know what I'm doing here. I'll try it. These 2 poles here. See if I can find them. If they are, can't remember if they were over here or not. So I probably just did them totally backwards. Nope. Boy, I actually kind of got close. So you just need a couple of good points. I'm going kind of quick. But at least I got it roughly in where I wanted it. Let's see if I'm on the edge here. Yep. So what I would do is just select the data again. AG for that tool. Here, and just go right here, there, and redraw. There we go. So now you have your data aligned. There's that corner right here. So it's really easy to work with merging data and different types of data and then aligning them up in here like that. We were talking about that wall evidence tool a little bit, and I just wanted to show you, like, here we have a dump truck on a roadway and on an image, and what we did was we just outlined some buildings and used that wall evidence tool and took snapshots so you could, if you needed to create a model quickly of something with snapshots, it doesn't just have to be a wall. It can just be any vertical line. See, so these are just photos on a 3D wall, and the same with like the road signs. We just use 3D Builder to create the pole and drew a little rectangle here and use that wall evidence tool to draw the sign and then actually put these images in here. So just if you needed to kind of quickly model something to give an idea of where it is. So that's just a wall evidence tool being used in a different example. And so you can see some of the other type of work. I know I have some other sample drawings in here. We have here's a jail. One of our customers did this actually quite a few years ago. But it's kind of neat because he just used our symbols, the line work, and the 3D Builder to do a full 3-dimensional jail area here.
With wall evidence, you can do things. You could take pictures of blood spatter and bullet holes, things like that, if you wanted to place them on the wall as well.
Absolutely. And a neat one another customer did for us using our, they did their total station work. They've got some measurements, and they used our surfacing tools to create this Toyota drive here. custom line types. So you can see the surfacing done, the grass, this dirt, gravel, this little building in here. There's a little bench down in here. So kind of a neat little tool, and I'm going to zoom up on this here, and I'll show you I have a reason for this. Let me just pan back a little bit, and then I'll take a little snapshot of this. Give it a second. It's probably taking a pretty high-res snapshot. So I can take snapshots of my work in 3D, and then I'll just place it in the diagram here. And then I did that because I'm going to also bring in another image, which I do believe I have, if I can find it. Well, oh, there it is right there. So there's the building, and that's the actual building right here. Just a different angle, obviously. But you can see the parking lot, and there's the light post here, the light post here. So I just wanted you to see that. Now, I know some of you are interested in arson investigation. Well, so let me bring in a drawing for you here, fire investigation 1. So all the work we did that we've done up to now, showing 3D builder and the bodies and the furniture and everything, that would obviously apply, and the wall evidence would apply, this little wall evidence tool for burn patterns and stuff. And this is just very simple outline of the light char, smoke, heavy char, you know, and you could just put your data all through here. It's even on the couch a little bit. And let's see, I've got another one in here. Here we have a kitchen, a body. We just made the body kind of crispy here. And, you know, this is something one of our customers did. You know, they didn't smooth it out, but they just put the basics in here, you know, and just use the basic tools. So once again, you can see we've got a body, an outline for the body. We have a room. We've got doors and windows in the room using our doors and windows tool. We have all the furniture in here, and we're showing different char patterns, ceiling, smoke patterns, and we just created used like a 3D rectangle here to create, you know, a room that was the right height, and just move that up here to show some stuff. So, and I'll show you where I got this data, but let's take a look at this in 3D. So it's all the same tools, other than you're using the hatch patterns, the texture mapping, or the different hatch patterns to show some of the data in 3D or in 2D, so you can see everything we've got here. So now I can come back in here and select the wall and go to the 3D builder tool and say, oh, I want that wall painted, this 135 here, and we'll take a look at it. So now you can come into here and see all your data, and I can unpaint it. It just depends on how you want to look at it. Now this data here that I got for this entire room came from an image shot with a laser scanner. So we can go into our point cloud data tool and see all our 3D work that we're doing real time, but we can also bring in and work, and all this whole entire diagram was created from point cloud data. It's just all a bunch of 3D points. So the body was outlined and everything, right? So what I'll do, let me minimize this, and let me just get rid of that drawing. You can always bring it back later. And this is just pure point cloud data. So this is our CZ point cloud tool. So I'm going to show you how we can work with it. You can see we've got a ceiling here, and we could certainly might want to work on the ceiling, but one of the first things we might want to do is drop down into here and maybe thicken up the points a little bit. And now I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to go to the point tools right here, and I'm going to lighten it up a little bit, change the brightness. There, I might, just so I can see a little better. Shed some light on it. There, now we've brightened up the whole point cloud. Now I'm going to do a side view, and I'm going to take off the ceiling, hide window. I'll just take a chunk of ceiling off here. We can always bring it back, or we could always just look at it by itself. Okay, I just took off some ceiling. There. Now we can see down in here. So there's all kinds of neat things we can do with this. We could do a top-down view, and I could just kind of square it up a little bit like this. Set my line color to this blue, make it thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if the elevation's correct first. Make it 0. Okay. We have 2D trace mode. So we could actually just start, and we can snap right to these cloud points. And since these are 3D cloud points, I told it to go into this 2D trace mode. And what you'll see is down here in the drawing, I have created the room. So what I'll do is I'll zoom all. You can see the room. I can split the screen like this, so we can see the work we're doing all real time. So if we go sideways, you'll see that data is down there. Now, you'll notice for some reason it's that some points got shot to the side. So, now anybody in that I'm talking to right now, have any of you used the laser scanner?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you're familiar with this kind of stuff, right? Data just kind of getting everywhere?
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to go back. What I did is I cleaned up the stuff underneath, and I'm going to do an elevation adjust, and I'm actually going to, you'll watch this elevation adjust. It'll take a second to go through and process. It'll drop the whole thing down like that. So now what we're doing, instead of trying to draw out in 3D, and we can do that, by the way, I could turn off this 2D trace mode and grab a line. I can go, oh, I'll start right on the corner here, right on the corner here, maybe here, there. And see, we can just go along and draw three-dimensionally, but we've come up with some tutorials and tricks to make this a little bit faster. So we like to do the 2D down, and then we can outline things like our furniture very quickly and then just put symbols in place. You know, some things you might just want to draw, but in this case, I just want outlines for things like couches, you know, and lamps, and I want positions. And remember the body, I like to do a stick figure because it just makes it so much easier. I can notice I'm drawing back and forth. I can draw over here, or I can come back over into here, and I can just, so I can line continuous. I can start a line anywhere across, and this just helps me then position the body like we did earlier, right over. You know, it just gives me a neat, quick outline, and then we can make sure it lines up with that. Then we can grab furniture symbols, and we can get the height of these symbols so we get them exact. And we can come over here, and we've got this char pattern. You know, we can come in there and do that, and you can see it over here drawing along that whole wall plane there. Okay, so you know, there's your data. We could hide all the points and see our work. But once you get that, oh, see the couch, I took it out of 2D trace mode, so the couch has all kinds of little 3D stuff in here. But then you just come in here and grab your symbols. I won't take too much time grabbing the ones that I used. See, I'll turn on dynamic symbol scale here. Snap here, here. Make that a little wider. Put the couch in there and put a chair in here. Snap, rotate, and kind of scales it up. Now they're way up in the air. Oh, because I actually snapped to those lines. That's hilarious. So I'd have to go in here and tell the elevation to be 0. That's what happens. See, we're actually, there we go. See, I can select the chair, and I took it out of 2D trace mode, so I have to set my elevation in 3D Builder down to 0, so the chair is right behind the other chair there. Okay. And then you can see, you can click on this chair and say, well, obviously he needs to be a lot taller, 3 feet tall, and maybe a little bit different color, this is light beige. So we can go through and essentially using this point cloud data and working with it. It's very easy to get a diagram out of here, and I'll just go back to the one that we had where I spent a little more effort on. And there, see, that data all syncs right back up with the cloud, and you can notice it's labeled heavy char, and you can actually see the char when we built around the chair. There's a table, there's the lamp, and the couches, and we did the ceiling work too. We pulled the ceiling out separate.
But we generally send it out to a PDF.
Okay, so you can certainly do that. You can just export it out as a PDF file, and you can actually even go to our print dialog and set the scale of that. So if you wanted to print this out, let's say on your laser printer or something, and you fit to paper, maybe do a portrait. Okay, on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, this has got a 1 inch equals 2.61 foot scale. So I could just change that to 3 foot just to round it off, and it'll adjust this in here. Now if I wanted it to be 1 inch equals 2 feet, it would print that out on 4 sheets of paper. Okay, or 1 inch equals a foot, and it'll print it out on 9 sheets of paper. Okay, if you just have a regular printer, and you can actually then tape them together, trim them and tape them together. Now, of course, you could, I'm sorry, was there a question?
Will it work with a plotter?
Yo, absolutely. So you just pick let me get my tongue untied. Pick the type of device you're using, and I'm trying to see if I have my plotter on here. I don't see my plotter on here, but we do have a big E-size roll feed plotter on here. And if you don't have a plotter, you could you go to your PDF printer driver and pick the paper size, and let's go to, I'm looking for like a D size or something here.
We have our own PDF driver, comes with the software. You don't need Adobe.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in architectural D size, which is kind of like the poster size. And now you're 24 by 36 essentially. Now when you fit to paper, we've got a 1 inch equals 0.842. So if I say 1 inch equals a foot, now we have a 1 inch equals foot on 1 sheet of paper. And when you hit print, what that'll do is save it to the PDF to that scale. You could then send it off to your FedEx/Kinko's office if you guys don't have this set up, and they can print that to scale. And unless you have your own plotter, then you can just do it yourself.
Just the one thing, if we do have it, does it come with a manual in case there's something we forget about where something is? Or I see a help button up there. It's kind of like that looks like an index so you can find.
Absolutely. You have your help tools. You have kind of a what's new, an overview of what's in version 9. That's a PDF file that you can scan down that and see some of the major tools in here and how they work, layering and properties and that kind of stuff. The help, you can index and find what you're looking for, just like a standard help system. We also, so here's your help stuff, 3D features. Also, we have our Learning Center that pops up when you first open up the program, or you can click on the light bulb. And there's some documentation and stuff. But if you click on documentation or movies, this will take you to our website. And this will also take you to a list of different types of user manuals, training and user manuals, tips and tricks, some tutorials in here, general drawing tips, 3D tips, animation tips, crash reconstruction tips. And you can click over to movies, and we take our movies and we put them up on YouTube, but we link them in here. So you can see there's an overview movie for Crash and Crime Zone. There is some 2-minute movies on using your mouse and stuff. There's some tip movies. And like if you were to look at the Crime Zone movie here, this was done a while ago. Let me shut that off. But it still shows, you'll notice the interface is updated since then. But what I wanted to show you was it goes through a lot of these tools, but you should recognize this is what we worked on today. There's the data that we brought in, and I'm going to show you, it talks about the wall evidence, and that particular room does have actually a lot of movie posters and a big window and some guitars hanging up in it with images. I got an image on a ceiling and stuff we brought in, and I was hoping it brought in that other one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here's that room. There's the body, a couple of guitars here, movie posters. You can see the movie posters, the couches. Here's the windows and the blinds. So let me go a little further here. That was the hand data. Then it's brought into the coordinate data table. And this actually runs through a lot of the basic steps. It even puts in the stairwell in there where the shots came from. And then, so you get to see how the stair tool is used. And let me move a little further. And now you can see with the wall evidence, all the posters are up. Here's the outside wall. This was actually a photo of that window. So you've got your symbols, you've got a photo of the carp rug and everything in there. So you've got movies, you've got all kinds of stuff for help that you can look up. And of course, we're available to help you out if you run into any problems. And you know, if you're just having a problem with something, you can email us a drawing. We'll go through it and look at it and help you with some ideas. If we need to do a quick go-to meeting, we can do that with you and look at what you're doing and help you out. So
we also have trainers, like we've got Dave in Maryland and we've got Bobby in Tennessee that can come in and do a class. Especially if you have a large number of users, that formal training is always a good idea too.
And if you ever want to, I offer a 2-day express training class that goes through everything from hand measurements to point cloud data and kind of all the tricks of the shortcuts of the program. You're certainly welcome. I like to keep a class down to a 4 or less because I do all hands-on in the 2 days. And it's a pretty good class. But I'd also be happy to share the outline of the class with anybody if they wanted to go through it that way. It just depends on how you like to learn. So we make that available as well.
Derek, what about a special picture, an icon, like a, let's say it's a John Deere tractor that they need to include into the diagram? Is there a resource for that to get those special?
Well, what you would do is first you could look up John Deere in our search toolbox here, or you could just go to Vehicles B and then look for farm equipment. And I know you're just using that as an example, but I would look up, I would look down here and look for, I'd see I've got tractors, and then I can hit the little 3D preview. That's a tractor that's upside down, obviously. Tractor top here. That looks like a little John Deere. So if you couldn't find, if you go through here and you can find a symbol and maybe you have to scale a little bit to work out for you or something, but If you needed something that you couldn't find, we will make that for you at no cost. These, I mean, and we've always done that. And matter of fact, I will even point out to you that the person that does that is Todd in our office. He was the guy who was laying down dead in that office in the picture. He plays dead and he makes all our symbols for us. So, but because there are so many vehicles and so many object types. I mean, I think we have literally 7,000 or 8,000 symbols, 2D and 3D symbols, combine, to all together now. I mean, for every 2D symbol, there is an equivalent 3D symbol, and there's 7,000 of them. So you're going to find that there's something you need that we might not have, and if that's the case, we'll make it for you. We just like you to give us some pictures or the specs or the best you can, if it's something unusual. But we have made some very unusual symbols or have had to do some modifications to existing symbols for specific cases. We're glad to do that. It only really takes us a day or two at the most to get it out to you.
Oh, that's impressive.
And you can change the color. You might find a red tractor, and you can change it to green if it's close.
The basics of the point cloud tool. We just open up the point cloud tool, which is a little cloud with the lightning bolt here. Find point cloud data, which you would be bringing in PTS files from your saved from Cyclone or whatever into here, and I'll bring in. Let me bring in let's see, intersection. I'm looking for. Here's a cul-de-sac. Let's do the Faro intersection.
Yeah.
How many points would you say are in this file?
Well, I'll tell you as soon as it's loaded up. So that's another thing to remember too. This is 16 million points. I've got files that have hundreds of millions of points in them. I've had a customer load 2 billion points up. It took hours for them to process it, and the first time, because it was 2 billion points. But because we're a 32-bit application here, so we can run on your computers, what we do is we index all of the data. And we only allow you to see so many of the points, but you can do some high-def stuff and bring them in. So you don't lose anything, but we make it so it's nice and fast and easy to move in on. So here's an intersection. I use my mouse wheel to move in. It's not quite fast enough. I can go to settings here and say, well, I want to move in 5 feet every time I roll the mouse wheel. Now it's quicker. And then I can go up and down with the left mouse wheel, and I can hold down the mouse wheel and pan. And if I want to zero in on a particular item, like this sign right here, just pick Seek, touch the sign, and now I'm revolving around that sign, zooming in on it. It's very easy. So you
don't get lost in the cloud.
Right, in the cloud. Yeah, so we can come down in here, and so there's so much stuff we can do in here, right? We can start drawing. Like I said, we could split the screen, just move one, grab the title bar, move one over to the other, move over this to the other, and this is all just in Windows 7. And come up to, I like to change my line thickness to something heavy and maybe a color that stands out. You can always change your colors later, but I want it to stand out in here. So what I'll do is I'll grab a curve, and you'll see our cursor is a special cursor. If you watch this cursor, I can see the center of it with that crosshair, but if I move into a darker area, it's hard to see that. Then you get the night vision, the little green reticle in there, like kind of a night scope look. So we've designed this cursor to adjust itself as you move along through here. So I can center in here, and it's all snapping to 3D points and creating, a nice 3D line or curve. So if I grabbed a continuous line here and maybe started right there and moved to here, down to here and to here, I could even go over to here and to here. You can see that follows that slope in there. So you're getting over here, you're getting your 2D drawing, which is actually 3D data, and you're seeing all your 3D data while you do it. So now we've got something, though, which we found early on. We're dealing with these roads, and we'd have to either try to eyeball it from way back here like a curve and kind of get like that. And this cursor did a pretty good job of it. So I could start here. I can kind of eyeball it in there. But, you know, people wanted to be a little closer. You know, that looks pretty good. So what we did was we came up with our mag window. So you click on the mag view window, and you can make that even bigger if you want, move it around. And you can see it is set up to a magnification of 3.5. I'll set it up to 4.5, and I'll thicken up the points a little bit with the mouse wheel. It shows you what to do. Shift and mouse wheel changes the points. Start a curve. And now when I get out to the edge, I can see right where the curb is. I can get right on the curb. I'm just going to hit just right on the base of the curb here, right there. So I can look over in the big screen on the right and just kind of see where I want to be, and then kind of adjust it in the left. You know, we're kind of running out of points here, so you can see, oh, okay, I'm just going to hit in here. We're just running out of data, kind of like that. So now you've got that nice long curve, and you know, you could get back here like this, maybe angle up a little bit, and really quickly, you know, look at there. Oh, there's the yellow line, and I'll just come through here and just kind of eyeball it a little bit. There we go. And so you just kind of keep fooling around with that and create your drawing that way, and just magnify. And I can change that data here, come back a little bit. Sometimes I want it. I can do
just show up. Oh, sorry.
So, you know, in here, and I can thicken it up in here like that if I wanted to see a little more. Or if we got down to here and said, well, I'm not really seeing much, well, we could do a high-def window here and see if we could bring in some more data from the index. There, that's a little more in there. I can see a little more in here. Thicken that up a little more. There we go. Different line type will show up in the cloud, and it's all three-dimensional. So remember, that's all following a slope. You can see it's got a little bit of a hill. Obviously, it's not really drastic, but that one was a little more slopey there, so we could select this line here and maybe make it I don't know, what would be a little curb. There, we'll do a curb. See how it just kind of put a little curb in there three-dimensionally. There, you can see it going up the hill here. So we have Seek to help you zero in on a spot like that and then roll in. We can do a high-def preview and just preview data and pull in extra data in, and maybe then enlarge the points to see it. Because, you know, this isn't the tool. This is actually the fact that we're just dealing with so many points, right? You know, that we're out of in this area, but this helps us do that. We have our navigation tools. Let me show you our point tools. You know, we can hide and keep and show points, you know, and remove them out to get things out of our way. We can transfer, if there's some points in here we'd like to see in the diagram, we can actually copy points over. We can hide colors, we can adjust contrast, invert color. We even have a thing if you were to shoot at night. Let's say you had a room and you scanned a room and it was just pitch black or it was very dark. We have a night vision. If you actually scan with the photographs, we'll convert the RGB values to a grayscale, so you could essentially shoot in pitch black and use our night vision mode and see everything in grayscale, which is nice. The Flip Z tool, you've got all this data in here and you're trying to get this roadway, for instance, or you just want to get Flip Z to get underneath it. just maybe just to have a little less obstructions in your way. You're not looking at the trees. Now you just go, okay, good. Now I can just, you know, work on the roadway here and worry about the signs and the trees later. Okay, and flip Z anytime to get back into it. And then the 2D trace mode that we talked about. So some people just want flat 2D diagrams. So what you saw what we did in the room, but on a 3D intersection or something, we have still, like I said, many departments just want a 2D diagram. Well, we just say go into 2D trace mode, do a top-down view, and then they can just go through and start, you know, they could just, if they wanted to, they could bring up you could bring up your mag window, start right on that line, and you're still snapping to the data. What it's doing is just zeroing out the elevation. There's no elevation anymore. Okay, so you can go through and get a drawing done pretty darn quick. You start right in there, and I'll get that line done. I can line up very easily with these cursors. See, so you can see the lines in here. Of course, I can change those anytime I want back to just normal lines, and maybe just like the white line, you know, that we want them to be in the diagram, or however you want to do it. So that's your 2D trace mode, and I mean that's pretty much it. That's really the basics of the tools, just getting used to using them. And like I said, we have 3 or 4 movies on this showing it kind of used, doing different tricks or different things you can do in it.
Anything else? Derek, I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
So, you know, there's 16 of us in here, and everybody's either forensic, general agents, crime scene, fire, arson, bomb. It was a good demo.
Good, thank you.